We've got Patrick and Dr. Vicki Rackner on today. You're really, really going to enjoy the presentation, the webinar, and really just hearing from a real doctor, one that's been there, done that, has the T-shirt, and actually helping other physicians throughout the country. And along with how she's not only helping them, she's actually helping our licensees. And so we wanted to make this presentation to you as you're looking and doing your due diligence here with us here at American Business System. So again, we're going to show you how to explain how Dr. Vicki Rackner is going to explain how to market to doctors. So very, very important webinar that we're going to have today. Again, my name is Eric Auger. I'm the Director of Research and Development here at American Business Systems. I'm going to bring Patrick on, and Patrick, it's good to have you here, and I know you're excited about talking here with Dr. Rackner. So Patrick, take it away.
Thank you, Eric. And folks, you're in for a treat today because we have with us today a very special guest, Dr. Vicki Rackner. She is a former general surgeon who, after seeing tens of thousands of patients, decided that she wanted to change course and start helping everybody in the medical field begin to learn how to connect more, especially with those who are marketing to doctors various products and services. This is one of her most recent books, but Vicki is the author of several books. You can find them all over the place out there on the internet, including Amazon.com. She's also appeared on a number of radio and television programs. She's written articles for a number of periodicals all over, again, the United States, and has been a guest speaker at many conventions of doctors and other healthcare professionals, teaching people how to connect and engage with physicians. So you may have seen her on CNN or heard her on NPR. You may have read one of her books. In any case, she's here with us today. So Vicki, let's see if you're still with us today, and we'll get started on this interesting topic of how to market to doctors. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Patrick. Hello, everyone on the line.
Yes, and Vicki, we've got a ton of people still showing up. Here it is 9 minutes after, and people are still showing up, which is fine because we're just now getting to the meat of everything anyway. So I thought I would just start out, Vicki, by showing here a quote, something that you said in one of your periodicals somewhere that I captured and put it up here on the screen. You said, if I were looking at investing with ABS, I would like to know that there is a market and that you would help me get doctor clients and help me use the momentum of the changing healthcare climate to my advantage. Actually, that was an email she sent to me just this morning, and I just captured it out of there because I thought that just kind of summarizes why people come to these webinars.
Absolutely, Patrick. So I'm an entrepreneur myself. I have run my own practice, but for the past 15 years, I've had a consulting business, which means that I'm running my own business. So I've been in your shoes, if you're listening to this. I know how to look at a business opportunity and decide whether or not it's for me. And I'll tell you, I think that this is a great opportunity. If you look at where the growth industry is, it's in healthcare. If you look at what doctors need right now, it's help with revenue. They are in acute financial pain right now. It could be that Medicare compensation goes down 30%. Imagine the doctor wondering, what am I going to do if my paycheck gets cut by 30%? You come in, and in one moment, you show them the solution to the problem. It's just to collect more of their fees. So you've got this market need, and then you've got all the tools that you need to actually figure out how to engage doctors. And I'll tell you, I think that this is the hardest part. The thing that you probably don't know and nobody's ever told you is that doctors are wired differently than business-minded people. So if you want to connect with doctors successfully, it's important to know how they think and how to go about talking with them so you can get past the gatekeeper and get to the doctor who really sincerely needs your help.
Yeah, doctors are definitely a different breed of animal out there. And you're right. Just like you said here to me in the email this morning, that people who are on this webinar that are looking at investing either in our business or some business should be concerned with this one thing, and that is, how is that company that you're getting connected with going to help you get clients? And that's the hardest part about any business, isn't it, Vicki?
It really is. Now, I personally made really expensive mistakes because I know what people need. I'm a doctor and I know what they need. And when I was a practicing surgeon, giving them what they needed was exactly the thing that would position me for success. But for you, it's different. You are running a business. You're not running a medical clinic. And what's really important is to understand what doctors want so that you're able to successfully engage them. And it's kind of like the Mars-Venus thing, why can't men and women get along better? Well, it's because they think differently. They approach the world differently. And once you have these secrets about how doctors think, how to persuade them to make choices, you are in a much better position to be successful. And let's just be honest, what you need for business success are paying clients. And I know that AVS is all in to help you do just that. They're there to support your success.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it, Vicki? You've been out there in the marketplace helping other types of business people connect, not medical billing people, of course, but when we kind of ran across one another just a few months back, it's like it just kind of clicked. I mean, here we were trying to help doctors survive in this era of Obamacare and the whole change that's going on in healthcare, staying in private practice. And that's what you told me exactly was your goal, is to help doctors to stay in private practice. So it seems like a good synergy. And I think during the webinar today, people will see that we zero in right here on what you said in that email, that we're going to show you how that we can help you get doctors to sign up as clients and help you use this momentum right now of this changing healthcare climate to your advantage. Here's another quote that I got out of one of your webinars, I think, Vicki. You said, "This is the right place and the right time to mine the treasures in the medical market." Tell us why it's the right place and the right time.
All right. Well, it's the right place because this is where the money is. If you look at the U.S. Department of Labor statistics, 9 out of the 10 top earners in the U.S. are doctors. How do they generate that income? It's by billing insurance companies. How will you generate your income? By having a fraction of that. So you're right where the money is. Now, you might not know this, but doctors actually do not do very well with money. And so I remember when I started my practice, I was married to somebody who had his own business. And in a moment of lucidity, I realized, what do I know about running a business? And I checked with one of my colleagues, and he said, it's nothing. If you can balance a checkbook, you can run a business, which, of course, we all know is absolutely untrue.
You're right.
But nowhere, are doctors told how to run businesses or how to manage money, And, people aren't born knowing this. This is probably your gift, which is why you're here. But this is something that doctors do not know. And, historically, so what if they only got a 30% rejection on their claim, or they only collected 70%? There was plenty of money. But that's not how things are going anymore. Physicians are looking at acute financial pain. They're looking at rising costs and falling reimbursements. So they are feeling the pain. And that's why they need you. You are the solution to their most profound pain point. So they need you right now. This is the perfect time to be diving in.
Yeah, you gave this illustration of I think it was James Carville back in 1990s when Clinton was running for president, and the big thing kept coming up with what's the most important thing we should be focusing on, and he kept telling him it's the economy, stupid.
Absolutely. And I'm here to tell you that for physicians in private practice, it's all about revenue. I mean, we know that half of doctors are behind where they'd like to be in retirement planning. They're smart people. They know if they've got a problem, they should take action. But it's sort of like, I'll take care of it later. There are pressing problems today. I remember, every time I go to the dentist, my dentist tells me that there's a filling that I need to replace. It's about 40 years old. It's not causing me any problem today, so I just keep on putting it off year after year after year. But when I got a little popcorn kernel under my gum and it started to form an abscess, I canceled my plans to see the dentist that day. So retirement planning is kind of like the filling that needs to be replaced. But revenue is something that hurts today. You've got a captive audience. Doctors want exactly what you need. And there are many doctors who are saying that they just simply can't figure out how to stay in practice anymore. They've got to sell their practice to the hospital or the clinic. But doctors think of their practice as sort of like their children. That's like giving one of your children up for adoption. I mean, they don't want to do that. They want a solution to stay in private practice. But unless they get this revenue under control, they're not going to be able to keep the lights on. So there's a huge way that you can make a huge difference and do well for yourself and your family in the process. It's a win all around.
Yeah, and I love this illustration that you came up with on the despair versus the hope. Doctors really are in despair right now. And when we talk to our licensees, they ask us, well, what is our main goal out there in the marketplace? It's not just to make money. You can't really be happy and be successful in business if it's just all about the money. So we came up with the mission. It really is what you said in one of your webinars. It's to help physicians thrive in the era of the Affordable Care Act. Also known as Obamacare. That's a huge deal for doctors, isn't it?
It really is. And I just do want to emphasize, Patrick, that if you go out and speak with doctors, everybody knows that there's a big problem. And there is this epidemic of despair. And what I personally believe is the golden days of medicine are not over. They are just beginning. I think we're going to wind up reinventing ourselves. But you could potentially be the messenger of hope. And hope is just the idea that there really can be a better tomorrow. And Patrick, you've told me about how your licensees deliver not just hope, but results. So you could be one of the few people in doctors' lives who are not just talking about a problem, but a real solution. There really is hope for a better tomorrow. I remember seeing patients who have had pain for years. And I think they thought that they would have to continue to live with the pain. And when I was able to offer them an intervention and give them their life back, it was an incredible thing. Well, you're in a position to give doctors back hope. And that is a powerful thing.
Yeah, and one of the reasons I think that doctors need help is because, when you showed me this chart here of their retirement preparedness, I was kind of shocked because there's only, 6% that are ahead of schedule and only less than half that say that they're on track. I knew that was true in the general population, but I thought doctors make so much money, they're bound to have just tons of money just stuffed away under the mattress and they're ready, for retirement. But that's not true, is it?
It is not. We doctors get involved with DDDs, dumb doctor deals. You're in the surgeon's lounge, the doctor's dining room, and you hear about this great opportunity to invest in a marijuana farm and make 200% returns. And if a doctor trusts another doctor and this doctor is investing, well, guess what? Most of the buddies invest too. So doctors do not do a very good job of really finding people that they trust and making prudent investments. Only about half of physicians are working with the experts, the financial advisors. But guess what? More and more are doing so. And guess what else this means for you? If you can go in and turn around one doctor's office, guess what? They're going to be talking about you in the doctor's dining room and the surgeon's lounge. And that's how you'll make your fifth sale, by your clients' buddies referring other buddies.
We hear that all the time. Our licensees are always telling us that all they did was follow our path that we teach in our live training workshop. on how to get doctors. We teach about a dozen different methods that they can use, whatever fits their personality or their time schedule or their budget. And they'll go out and get that first doctor. And if they do a good job for them, assuming they do, and most of them do, of course, then the doctor's thrilled. And you're right, the rest of the business just comes from referrals. So,
absolutely.
So Vicki, tell me what the difference is between these two here, B2C, B2B. What does those actually mean?
All right. Well, these are marketing terms, and B2C means going direct to consumer. So when Apple has ads on the TV direct to consumer, they're trying to influence the choice of consumers. So a B2C campaign is run a little differently than a B2B campaign. So if you're trying to do business with another business, it's different. So like if we look at social media, we think of Facebook, for example, primarily as a B2C. There are people who want to build relationships with consumers, and they use Facebook. If you're a B2B business, you're probably on LinkedIn because that's where the business people hang out. Well, in my experience helping people to engage doctors, neither of these models really fits working with doctors. And so I've created a new model I call B2D, doing business with doctors, that really helps people understand the differences. And here is sort of the aha moment for me. I do a fair amount of speaking, and one day I went over to Europe to a meeting. I went to plug my laptop in, and you can't do it because Europe is wired differently than the US. And that was my aha moment. You know, I am wired like a doctor. When I formed my consulting business and basically became an entrepreneur, I faced a lot of struggles. And I think the reason was that I hadn't recognized that doctors are wired differently than business-minded people. But once I got that, once I had that aha moment, I found out, well, gee, if I could only adapt my behavior, I would be able to plug my laptop in Europe, or I would be able to plug into the business community. And once I did that, truly, I had a transformation in the kinds of results that I get. So I kind of offer a bridge between the world of business and the world of medicine, and this bridge works both ways. I crossed the bridge to achieve success in the business environment. This bridge is built now, so now I can help you cross it and go into the world of doctors so that you can plug into doctors successfully.
I think that's why a lot of people are attending this webinar today. We got a bunch on here today, by the way, because when they saw the announcement that we had a doctor teaching how to engage and market to other doctors, that rings a bell with people, because obviously you have been there, done that, and have the t-shirt, like Eric said. You have engaged with medical billers. You know the advantages of outsourcing that. And so I think people who came for that, and of course for also to hear us answer what I think of as some three very important questions. So during the webinar today, I want to answer these questions about why physicians, first of all. You've kind of touched on that already, Vicki, but let's go into that a little bit more detail. And then why should they engage with ABS as a company if they want to get into medical billing? And then the last and the most important is why now? Why is now a good time versus, say, 20 years ago when we started the company? My wife started doing medical billing back in 1987. And, we've constantly been asked over the years, is this a good time to get involved in medical billing? Well, it's always been a good time because, as far as I know, as long as there's human beings, as long as they get sick, and as long as there's doctors and insurance companies, even the government itself, somebody has to bill so the doctors get paid, don't they?
Absolutely.
So let's start with why physicians.
Well, Patrick, there are some really great reasons that this is a great market. And we talked about the first one. They are in pain right now, and you've got a solution for them. So there you go. You've got a built-in market. You're not selling ice to Eskimos. You're selling hot chocolate to Eskimos. It's also a great place to go because this is where the money is. There was a bank robber by the name of Willie Sutton. And when he was asked, why do you rob banks? He said, well, that's where the money is. Well, in business, medicine is where the money is. According to the U.S. Department of Labor Statistics, as I mentioned, 9 out of the 10 top earners call themselves doctor. So this is a great place to go. The other great thing is that we physicians, for better or for worse, tend to be very loyal. Once somebody has our trust, we tend to be lifers. Oh, by the way, here are some numbers just so you can see what we're talking about. So these are some compensation studies from 2012, and these are national means. So you're looking at an orthopedic surgeon making $400,000 a year. Now, all of that, most of that money comes from bills that are submitted to the insurance company. Would you like to have a percentage of $400,000 a year? Once you get this orthopedic surgeon, you are probably going to have this surgeon for life. So imagine this as recurrent revenue, year in and year out. You will get a percentage of $400,000.
Yeah,
So
people
this
ask
is
us all
a
the time,
great.
what are the key specialties? And there's really literally a whole lot more than this, aren't there? There are dozens of specialties in medicine. And they ask us what are the ones that
There
we should
are.
aim for. Well, there's a good chart right there. I would start with the top earners and go down from there.
And in the ABS training, you will learn how to choose your best fit clients. Because for you, it could be that the family doctors might be where you really shine and you really generate revenue. So we'll show you where the money is. We'll also figure out how to help you choose so that you make the best money and you enjoy your position, because doctors are all different. They have different temperaments, and you want to choose your doctor partner so that you really get a lot of joy out of working with the people you work with. One of my clients said, I hate working with surgeons. Well, I'll tell you, life is too short to work with people that you hate. Everybody does better if you're working with people you genuinely enjoy. And so let's find the group of doctors that you really connect with. Next, okay, so we talked about how loyal physicians are. And you don't want to have to work hard to acquire a doctor client only to lose a client in a year or two, which is the challenge with many sales of many products and services. With doctors, though, once you've got them as a client, you've pretty much got them for life. I mean, yes, some things change. There probably is a bit of attrition, but that number is closer to 100% than 75% or 50%, as with other markets.
Yeah, I tell people, Vicki, if
And then,
unless somebody really screws up real bad, like forgets to bill for the doctor that month, they should have a doctor for as long as that doctor's in practice. Because if they do what we teach them to do and using our technology, they'll be collecting more money for that doctor than they've ever seen come in the door.
absolutely. But I mean, we'd love to make promises, but it's not 100%. Let's say a doctor couple, decides that they want to live closer to aging parents. I mean, there is the possibility that they would up and move. So things like that do happen. But really, the main point is that the assumption should be that you're going to have this doctor for many, many, many years.
Yeah, and Vicki, I came
And
up
then,
with a little chart. I'm sorry, go ahead.
oh, go ahead. No, these are great numbers, Patrick. Let's see the numbers.
Yeah, I kind of talked with Vicki about what does it mean for a doctor if they are loyal, and so we kind of came up with some averages out there, assuming that a doctor is even seeing 20 patients a day. That would be somewhere around 400 claims a month. A general practitioner is going to average maybe, let's say, $120 collected money. So that's $48,000 a month that they would be billed. If you're collecting all but 2%, remember our rejection rate is about 2%, let's say 98% of that, that's $47,074. And let's say that you're getting as the biller 7% of that collected money, that's $3,295 a month. Over a year's time, that's almost $40,000 with one client. So imagine having that
For
same
1 year.
residual income from that one client year after year after year. Again, like Vicki said, unless they move away or or pass away, then you should have them clients a long, long time.
Okay, and that, I mean, think about an orthopedic surgeon. You know, when they do a hip, they bill the insurance company $10,000, $20,000 per procedure. So when we're taking a look at those incomes of, you know, 400,000, that income is generated by billing. So that's 7% of $400,000. So these are big numbers.
Yeah, even
that we're
6%, even
talking.
5% of that would be fine for some people.
Pardon? I'm sorry, Patrick?
Even 5% of 400,000 would be fine with some people for one client, you know.
And then that would be year after year after year. So I think that you can see the potential here. It is staggering. But I think that the very, very best part has to do with the fact that doctors turn to each other to get resources. I mean, they tell each other where they go on vacations or where to eat or what lawyer to use or what they're doing about billing, because you know what? Every single one of those doctors in private practice has the same issue. They are trying to figure out how to stay in private practice, how to maintain their autonomy. Boomer doctors like me are lone wolves. We don't want a boss, neither do you. Can you imagine, like, you know, being autonomous and then having to go and work for somebody else? That just doesn't work.
No. Most of our licensees will tell you that too. Once they've started this business, there's no way they could ever go back and work for somebody else, you know, even if they wanted to. Hey, so Vicki, just because I'm trying to get through the hour here, we got a few other things to cover. This is one of the questions we get a lot from people. You know, I can't get past the gatekeeper. And so, as you pointed out to me, it never dawned on me that really referrals solves that obstacle, doesn't it?
It really does. So what you want to do, and the licensees learn all about this. I mean, we've got an 8-module course that's basically an answer to this question. How do you get around the gatekeeper? And the answer is that you deliver value, and the value that you can deliver to build relationships with your physician buyers, you get it done for you. And then we talk about how to build a culture of introductions so that doctors are talking about you. You know, Bonnie Raitt said, give them something to talk about. If you give them something to talk about, they're going to talk about you.
Yeah, and then, of course, a lot of people say, well, you know, it seems like doctors are too busy, too distracted. How can I possibly break through all of that to get, you know, directly to the doctor? And again, your 8-module course that you're doing for our licensees right now, in fact, is just tremendous. It's just opening up all kinds of ideas, like we saw last week on the webinar for licensees. One guy typed in and said, listen, this has just opened up all kinds of ideas that I never even thought about. So good stuff.
Right. The other thing you have to keep in mind is that right now, you are the solution to the most pressing concern. So the good news for you is that the circumstances are conspiring to support your success.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Everything's converging right now. These are good things for your competition to face these things. They don't know how to get around them, but we know how to solve those things because of what you're teaching our licensees. Vicki, I guess the second question is really all about why people should choose ABS, and I wanted to cover this because really I got this from you. You said, look, Patrick, you guys have the secret sauce. We have figured out the differences between the world of medicine and the world of business. And with your help, Vicki, that's becoming clearer and clearer, even to me, who's been doing this for 20 years. There's a huge difference between those two.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know, doctors are kind of control freaks, and they are being forced to do things differently. Obamacare is forcing them to do things differently. Like they've got to purchase electronic medical records. And I think the circumstances are helping doctors to understand that this business as usual isn't going to work in the future. You know, just doing things faster and harder, you know, getting that hamster wheel to go faster and harder, that's not how it's going to work anymore. They need to reinvent themselves and think differently. And so it could be that, you know, 10 years ago, that might have been a barrier to sales. But today, doctors are much more receptive to doing things differently.
Yeah, we have this question asked by people on these webinars all the time. What is it that makes ABS unique in the marketplace? What's going to make us stand out amongst all the other people out there that are wanting the billing that the doctors are doing? And we call it a unique selling proposition, a USP. And this is it right here, isn't it? We help physicians conduct themselves as entrepreneurs. Again, Vicki, I'm pulling from some of your webinars that you've given our licensees because this encapsulates it right here. Doctors don't think of themselves as business people, do they?
They don't. And in this 8-module course, we'll give you the language to use. But since you're business minded, I will tell you that really what doctors need is they really do need to manage their practices as businesses and not as, sort of a hobby. And
Right,
if you can help them make that transition, that's really what they want. They may not know that they want better billing, but what they do want is they want to successfully run their own practices. And so you can bring in some of the resources to help them do that, because ultimately what they want to do is serve in a bigger way. They want to be sure that they can stay in practice. And just this week, by the way, I was speaking with a very successful surgeon in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. He sees the writing on the wall. He's in private practice. The hospitals and clinics are swooping up the private practices. He wants to stay in private practices. So what we're talking about doing is reinvention so that he can continue to thrive. And we had exactly this conversation about how he can get more patients. He's open to all sorts of new things. One of the first questions we talked about is, what are your collections? Are you getting paid for what you do? So you have an opportunity of connecting with doctors by giving them exactly what they want.
Yeah, Vicki, this is one of the tools that you've provided for us and for our licensees that I think is it's blowing up out there. The licensees are just going crazy. This is a book that you've written for doctors. It's a marketing tool for our licensees because each one of our licensees because of the licensing agreement we have with you, they get to use this. And even though this one shows here, let me zoom in. I think at the bottom of it here, you'll see that it has a person's name down at the very bottom there. That's just a made up name, Sue Smith. But folks on the webinar, picture yourself now, your name being right there where Sue Smith's is. Now, when you come through our training, if you're not sure what the CMRM is, you're going to have that after your name as well through our training. We're going to make you a certified medical revenue manager. That's what that stands for. And your name's going to be on the front of the book with Dr. Rackner's. So you're going to be able to utilize this book. It's a giveaway. It's actually an ebook, but Vicki, since we're using video live here, the folks who are watching it live get to see this copy of the book that I actually had printed at Staples. It's it's a coil bound book, 48-page book that has their name, and I think I have that on the next slide here too. Yeah, they have the foreword to the book is the second page of the book. In other words, when you open it up, there it is. And as you can see, that has Sue Smith's name, her web address, which is a made-up address, by the way, don't go there, and it has a phone number. So, folks, your name is going to be in the front of the book as the person who wrote the foreword of the book. We're connecting you with Dr. Rackner. Dr. Rackner, it just doesn't get any better than this from a marketing standpoint, does it?
So I'm a member of the licensees team. The most influential person in a doctor's life is another doctor. That's why you want to build this culture of introductions. But right now you've got me. I'm in your court. Right. I'm on your team. And you can use the intellectual property that I've created for ABS to support your success. And it's not just the book, folks. There's a lot more in the pipeline, including a webinar about how physicians can generate more revenue. So we're creating solutions to physicians' most pressing problems. You can basically have your business name attached to this and deliver this value right to doctors.
Yeah, that right there, Vicki, that alone is worth our licensing price because you can't have a doctor write a book for you for $25,000. Doctors wouldn't take the time to do that.
Correct.
You've already got the book written for our licensees, and we just plug in their name and connect them with it. So, folks, that's like Vicki says, that's just one of many tools that are coming down the pipeline this year. All right, so Vicki, we're at 42 after the hour. Let's talk about the last question that we had there was, why now? Why is a good time to get started in medical billing right now? Well, one of the reasons is I found this on a website just like 2 weeks ago. U.S. faces $90,000. I'm thinking dollars here. 90,000 doctor shortage by 2025. That's according to one of the medical school associations. That's a huge number of doctors that we will not have out there. And you add in the fact that all the uninsured Americans are now being dumped into the healthcare system. I don't know how doctors are going to see the patients. In fact, one of the slides we came up with, our charts on some website out there, was the average number of waiting days to get an appointment with a physician in family practice, cardiology, dermatology, orthopedic surgery, and OBGYNs. Look at the wait days on that. It's just incredible. Some of them, look at the Boston. I hate to be in Boston right now. You wait 45 to 66 days to be able to get with a family physician. 66 days. Incredible. So we need lots of more doctors paying attention and seeing more patients, don't we? So get off medical billing in your office and get your staff focused on helping see more patients. That's what that boils down to. Vicki, you came up with this chart, and I love this. Why don't you kind of go over this and explain what you meant by this? Oops, I went past it there. Sorry. Here we go.
Okay, so you're starting a business. My family owned grocery stores, and when you decide to open a grocery store, there's a fair amount of work. You've got to decide where the grocery store is going to be. You've got to decide what you're going to carry. You've got to stock the shelves. You've got to design it. So when you create any business, there is a startup phase where the work outweighs the rewards. Then in the building phase, those graphs switch. So you're starting to recoup some of your investment. And you do this to get to the mature phase, where your rewards are high and your costs are low. The major advantage of working with doctors is they tend to refer to each other. And what does that mean? That means that your phone will ring when doctors start to talk about you. So there are challenges in the startup phase. The barrier to entry is high for most people because they don't understand how doctors think. If you join ABS, you're going to get those insider secrets. So you'll lower the work to enter the market, move quickly towards the right. So you quickly get to that point where doctors are talking about you, and you're getting the third, fourth, fifth, sixth doctor from that tribe of doctors. So everything that I teach in this 8-module course is how to shift this curve to the right so that you quickly enjoy the returns on the investment that you're making.
Yeah, and you know, Vicki, I think it's important that people realize that again, you're not involved in our business per se. That is medical billing. You're not doing medical billing for doctors. You're not in that business. You're in the business of teaching people how to engage with doctors. And yes, could people start this business on their own? Obviously, a lot of people have. My wife and I knew a friend who had started it on her own. So it can be done. It's just a little harder. Those inside secrets that you mentioned is what people say that our license fee is worth because it can save you a lot of time. You're not having to reinvent the wheel and just start, from scratch. So, Vicki, as we wrap up here, I want to have you talk about your 10 laws of efficient physician engagement. I love this because you illustrate it with the apple falling from the tree there, Newton's law of gravity. Explain a little bit about what that is and how you're using this to teach our licensees how to engage with the doctors.
All right, so the secret to success in this medical billing arena is understanding that doctors are different than business-minded people. So if you just went to a business person and said, would you like to increase your revenue by 30%? It would be, I'm all in. But the problem is that that's not a conversation that's going to go over really well with doctors. It's kind of like my coming to you and saying, would you like to have more regular bowel habits, or would you like to improve your sexual performance? Well, you might want to do that, but it's just not polite. We need a relationship before I'd ask those kinds of questions. So I have sort of systematically characterized these differences between the world of business and the world of medicine in these 10 laws of physician engagement. They're kind of like the laws of gravity. They're not bad, they're not good. This is just the way it works. And if you want to experience success, you align your actions with these 10 laws. Generally, when somebody, one of my clients, is struggling, what we do is we go and identify which of these 10 laws is being violated. And then when we adjust the behavior so they're more in line with the laws, they get much different results. So we want to help you get great results right from the get-go.
Yeah,
so that's what these 10 laws are about.
Yeah, and I didn't have a chance, Vicki, to actually gather the 10 and put them on a list here on the screen. But in general, we don't have time to cover those, of course, on this webinar. But folks, she takes a full hour and a half to go through each one of these things in detail. Her whole 8 modules is just a tremendous way of peering into the brain of a physician who knows how other physicians think. So I did have a couple that you mentioned to me that you wanted to kind of explain a little bit about. Let's talk about this one here. I just grabbed number 2. Physicians behave like tropical fish. What does that mean?
Okay, this is really important. So if you've ever had an aquarium or gone scuba diving or snorkeling, you know that fish hang out together. They congregate in pools. They swim together. And doctors are exactly like that. They tend to congregate together. You know, one of my mentors told me, you don't want to be the first or the last person to prescribe a medication. You want to be somewhere in the middle. So doctors are always looking side to side, asking, you know, what are the other doctors in my community doing? And that directs their behavior. Now, the question is, why do tropical fish do that? And the answer is that grouping is protection against predators. So if you think about doctors, they consider themselves prey. Everyone wants to work with the rich doctors. So what do? They congregate in these groups. They ask their people in their groups, you know, what are you doing? What is happening with you? And that's how they decide to do it. So even though doctors seem strong and powerful, they really experience themselves as prey. And you know what? Every single doctor has gotten scammed because, you know, we don't know about business. So we get drawn into these shaky deals. You would be able to smell it from a mile away, but doctors can't. So we've lost money. So what do? We don't trust outsiders. We turn to our colleagues. So once you become an insider, you get your insider to talk with the rest of the doctors. That's how you build your practice. Another law is the most influential person in a doctor's life is another doctor. So if you have the attention, if you're in front of a physician prospect, and the physician prospect asks you a question, and you say, you know, that's an interesting thing because just this week I was speaking with the president of your state association, and here's what he said. And we'll show you how to speak to the president of their state medical association. So when you're the kind of person who is rubbing shoulders, if you're an insider, we'll show you how to translate that into real activity. We'll show you how to harness the power of what other doctors are saying to help you use that to get more doctors.
Okay, Vicki, thank you. This is about, let's see, we got about 9 minutes here. We try to wrap these up in an hour or so, but I'm going to open it up for questions. And folks, if you haven't seen the little question box over there on the control panel, click on the little arrow next to it or whatever you need to do to open it up there. And you actually can type that in. I will read those questions in to Dr. Vicki as they come in. live, and you'll get to hear her answers. So this is your chance to ask a doctor the facts about this industry, about how doctors think, and how you're thinking right now as far as getting engaged with doctors. I did have one question, Vicki asked about that book that came in from Sharon. She is asking about how do we get the printed book. Well, this printed book is just one that I took the ebook, the file. We've created it so that you can give this file as a PDF to your local Staples or home office, Office Depot, and they will print this out for you just like this. Color on the front and on the back. On the back, it shows a little picture there of Dr. Vicki and a little bit about her. And it's a great handout if you want to physically mail or put in an envelope and write on there for the doctor and ask the office manager to put this on their desk. However you use it in networking and so forth, it's a nice, great giveaway. They're only about less than $4 a copy to have them printed like this. So let's look at some of the other questions coming in here, Vicki, and answer these.
May I just?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, this book is a game changer. I mean, I've had people in the medical market for years. They use this book and it works. They get appointments. They think of themselves differently. They're not just a vendor trying to sell something. Now they are seen as an expert. It is a game changer.
Yeah, I've been amazed already, Vicki, at some feedback from licensees and people in my support department as to how this book is positioning the licensee as the expert. Even though they didn't write the book, they're tied in with the author of the book, and like you said, make that connection and has a doctor on their team. That's unheard of in this industry. Most medical billers are working out of their spare bedroom in their pajamas, and they're not professionally presenting themselves to the marketplace as the expert that doctors should want to engage with. And this positions them just beautifully that way. By the way, I'm looking at the attendees here, and I've got a few questions coming in, but I'm looking here at, we got Allie, Amy, Chris, Cindy, we've got Donahue, David, Isaac, Jason. I'm just going down the list here, as you can see alphabetically. Keith is here, Larry, Mark, Raymond, Thomas, and you guys should be asking questions. This is your opportunity live to type a question in to a doctor, and see, now they start coming in. Okay, I raked them across the coals.
The more embarrassing, the better.
What?
The more embarrassing, the better.
Yeah, exactly. Put them on the spot here. Okay, here's a great one from David. I don't read last names, so this is David, Z. Is it better to go to doctors that bill in-house versus doctors that outsource their billing already because of the loyalty that doctors have with their outsourced billers? In other words, he's asking, should you approach a doctor that's already outsourcing because aren't they loyal, to their current biller? What are your thoughts on that, Vicki?
Well, great question. And I think the answer is you want to find the doctor who's open to doing things differently. So we're not just talking about doing billing, remember. You have this unique selling proposition. What you're helping doctors do is be able to run profitable practices. So that puts you in sort of a different perspective than most other people. But here is the other problem that doctors run into, and I was just interviewed by Physician Practice about this recently. We tend to trust, and our truth finders don't always work very well. One of the things that doctors are really concerned about is embezzlement and fraud. Like, whom do you trust? So one of my best friends, a breast surgeon, had her entire retirement embezzled, and it was gone before she knew it. And this is one of the deep fears.
One of her staff members?
So one of her trusted staff members. The person who's most likely to embezzle is kind of like the child molester. It's the person you know and should be trustworthy. It's not somebody who comes in from a temp agency. It's the person you know. And, when you ask somebody, once embezzlement has been done, they say, you know what? I always had that sneaking suspicion that something just wasn't quite right.
Mm-hmm.
And so even if they are working with an existing biller, if they've got this sense there's something just not quite right, or you can help them get a different kind of result, maybe they love the person who's doing it, but they're only collecting 80% rather than 98. This is a great time to be, asking doctors the tough question. Are you really getting the results that you want, doctor? As you reinvent yourself and think about how you're going to move forward in the era of Obamacare, how are things working for you? So even though there is this loyalty issue, you can expect that there will be some physicians who really are, collecting 98%. They're perfectly happy. You want to go on to the next one. When you're at a restaurant and the waitress comes over and offers coffee, would you like coffee? Would you like coffee? And, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. You want decaf. Some people will say yes, some people will say no. The no just gives you the chance to go on and find the yes that's going to be a good fit for you.
Vicki, you got that email that I forwarded to you from one of our licensees who said that they had been contacted this doctor over a year ago. And, at the time, they just weren't interested in talking to him. And here it is a year later, and she engaged with this doctor because they contacted her. Well, things change in the doctor's office. They might have everything they think under control in their own office, doing their own billing, or maybe they think their outsourced biller is doing a great job today. That doesn't mean they're going to feel that way next week, next month, next quarter, next year, whatever it takes. And like you said, as we teach people to follow up correctly, we have licensees signing up doctors all the time that were just months ago that they first contacted them. So it's all in not trying to just grab the low-hanging fruit, right? But going on to the next person until you get somebody who says yes. By the way, David, most of our licensees, believe it or not, our licensees are signing up doctors every day, and most of them are doctors who are already outsourcing their billing. Why? Because they've already been educated. They just don't feel like something's right. Just like you said, Vicki, something's just not right here. I'm doing all this work, and I know a lot of stuff is being billed, but I don't feel like I'm getting the money that, is due me. That's what happens. And if you kept your name in front of that doctor in the ways we teach you, they will call you up and say, hey, come talk to us. We're ready to, look around here. Okay, here's a question from Mark. He says, Dr. Vicki, what would you want your receptionist to tell you when a medical biller is trying to approach your office? What would you like to hear? What would you need to hear to open your door? Good question.
Well, a great question. And again, I wish I could give you a simple answer, but we go over this in this 8-module course. So here is what I believe. You want to build a relationship with the buyer. In most offices, the buyer is the physician. In some offices, it's the physician's partner, life partner, husband or wife. So what we do is talk about how to get you engaged with the buyer by delivering value. We also have this little, I've been doing this for a lot of years, so I know what works. And one of the strategies that we just talked about last week was conducting an informational interview. So you send a letter to a doctor saying, I am committed to serving the physicians who serve our community. I know things are changing. Might I ask for your help? Might you be willing to sit down for a 15-minute interview with me so I can see the world through your eyes? I'm not trying to sell you anything, doctor. I just really want to understand. About 80% of the doctors who get those letters say yes. That's an example of a strategy to get beyond the gatekeeper. We want to get you in front of the buyer with the right message.
Right. Hey, I had a question here from Isaac. She says, he says, when do you teach this 8-module course? This is not a course that's open to the public, Isaac. This is for our licensees, and you're in module 4 this week, aren't you?
I am. And this is all, you guys would be amazed if you could see the resources that are available to you. This body of ideas and resources and tools that are available to your licensees. I mean, you know, Patrick has made a significant investment to assure that you guys have ongoing resources. And if for some reason you're not able to hear the live course, guess what? They're available online. You can do this on demand. You've got the whole resource, you've got all the workbooks, you've got the recorded webinar. So all of this is available at your fingertips.
Yeah, and Vicki has committed to doing whatever it takes to introduce new tools, new ideas, ongoing, even past the 8-week module classes. We're going to have all kinds of stuff here this year from Vicki's new ideas that she comes up with, because believe me, I don't think she sleeps. I honestly do not believe that you sleep at all, Vicki, because every time that I email you, you can you respond immediately. I can call you anytime, day or night. You answer the phone. You are a workaholic, and I guess that's a good thing for us.
Well, here's what I'm about. I'm here to help save the healthcare system. I want to keep doctors in private practice. And it's just an honor to be asked to participate with ABS, because this is a solution that doctors need. This completely aligns with my bigger mission of really create. So you understand, this is not about you or an individual doctor. We are talking about the viability of the American healthcare system right now.
Yeah.
We've got to find solutions, or we are not going to have doctors to take care of us
Right.
like our parents did.
Yeah, our wait times.
This is part of our big mission.
Yeah, our wait time will even be longer than the ones we talked about earlier in that chart. Okay, Dominic says, well, when does the doctor have time to talk?
Doctors make time for things that are important for them. It doesn't matter how busy you are. If something happened to one of your kids, you'd make time.
Right.
Right now, doctors' sort of practice kids are hurting. They are in serious trouble.
Yeah.
Doctors will make time because this is a priority. Because guess what? If they can't figure out this revenue issue, they're not going to be in practice anymore.
Yeah.
So the answer is this: you're at the perfect time, because this is what doctors are talking about and thinking about.
Yeah, Dominic, the best way to kind of answer that question is, are doctors actually talking to our licensees and signing up? And the answer is yes. Every day we get signups from doctors from coast to coast. So I encourage you to get back with the rep who sent you the email about this webinar and ask them for a list of licensees who've been through our training, who've experienced our support, and who've made the investment that you're thinking about making, and see what they say. Because I could say anything here to try to convince you to come to our training. By the way, I've got the slide on the screen there for those of you not paying attention and they're doing your email right now. This is the next training class that's coming up, and folks, as you can see from the classroom there, it seats about 20 people. That's it. We don't put any more than that in there, and so those fill up very quickly. We only have 2 weeks from Monday, and this one will be full. So you need to get your paperwork done, your due diligence, your funds, whatever you need to do. One last question here, Vicki, that has come in from Shauna. She says, I used to be a physician development rep for an audiologist office. Our front desk person did the billing, and it was a large part of her job. You talked about loyalty. How would you feel taking the responsibility from a staff member and then even possibly them losing their job?
All right, so I talked about the fact that this is a time of reinvention. And if there is a cost-effective way of generating more revenue, and you're going to be able to generate more revenue than the front office person did, right? We're just going to assume that. If that person's time is freed up, that time can be invested in practice development, in doing the next kinds of things that doctors are going to want and need to do to have a thriving practice. I do not see doctors laying off staff. What I see is the opportunity for their practices to grow. If anything, the trend is towards employing more physicians. Now, are there ways that all of this can be presented to the doctor and the office staff? Absolutely. They've got to be able to see a bigger picture, and you can help them understand that.
Yeah, it's just a matter of reallocating the time that those people are now spending doing the billing to helping the doctor to see and take care of the patients and see more patients. That's where they make their money, right? Seeing patients. So the more they see, more income for everybody. Okay, well, Vicki, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the webinar today.